Shalom, everybody. This is Sapore Bream. I just wanted to jump on before the music gets going and ask you to please hit the thumbs up button if you like the musical format that I'm using, or the thumbs down, and leave a comment and let me know. Okay.
Excuse me, let love be. Oh yeah, I was born a king of conscience, that's how I stay. I've been through a lot, the most I protect my life this day. I won't stop, there must be a better way. People are so busy, much dismay. Because of negligence, your children gone astray. What we gonna do now? We gotta live in love, let us pray. Cause we've got what it takes to make this world a better place and make our children safe. It's all up to me, it's all up to you. Got what it takes to make this world a better place and make our children safe. It's all up to me, it's all up to you. No, war with me. Pagans, why you wanna war with me? I'm in music for the people that bring the unity. Know the recognize the star in me.
Again, shalom to all empowered individuals. Thank you for sticking with me through all of these episodes. I think we're on episode 24 or 25. Thank you very much. This is me trying a new format. As I've shared, the name of my ministry is Artistic Ministry, and my desire, my intent is to use artistic platforms as a way to spread the good news, as a way to share my testimony, hopefully using mediums that will inspire, that will uplift, that will inform, that will encourage others to, just check out, maybe through curiosity, to read something about the Messiah, to maybe read a psalm about King David, to learn a little bit more about targeting and what's happening to you if you are a TI or, as I say, empowered individual, or maybe you might know someone who has tried to talk with you about this, and maybe this is a way to get some information for you so that you could help them. But that's my goal. And so, I'm using, like I said, using comics, using paintings, trying to use video format, and now exploring with podcasting. And so I've anybody who's followed along, you've known that at first I started off, I wasn't using any music, and I started adding a little bit of music, and now I'm going to try I'm going to try to do it just a little bit different. So please let me know if this format actually works. And also, it would be helpful, I'd appreciate it if you do it, just because these targeteers, or children of disobedience, as the Apostle Shaul called them, are messing with my channel, they're messing with my website. I don't know what's going on with the views. If the number of views there is actually a true reflection of how many people are actually clicking onto the podcast episodes and listening to them. I don't know if people are actually leaving comments and they're just being taken off, or if people are not leaving comments. I really don't know. So that would be, helpful, appreciative if you would do that as well. And while it's frustrating, it's not, I know that it's to be expected. This is, like I said, I've been dealing with, they've been stalking me for years, and I'm talking going on way past 10 years. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but I know that, the Messiah, he made it very clear. I think I shared that in one of the last episodes, and I'll share it again. John chapter 10. Or rather, John chapter 15, starting at verse 18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hateth you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my sayings, they will keep yours also. So, I know that, that what he went through, I'm going to go through, maybe worse, maybe less, but I'm not surprised, but at the same time it does get frustrating, because I would like to know, if anybody's out there listening, that whole type of thing. But how can I know if somebody is like taking off the the comments are doing weird things. I don't know. But again, if you could just leave a comment or something, let me know what's going on. That would be really appreciative. And the same over on the website. Okay, so if you go over to the website, on that first page, you'll see there's an option to for two choices: targeted individuals and creative literature. Now, all of the links are in place for the for targeted individuals. So if you were to click on that, there would be a drop-down menu, and you would see a section "Food for Thought." And if you click on that, it's going to take you to some of the different graphics that I've come up with for doing for postcards, for posters, T-shirts. They can be put on, pillows and coffee cups and mouse pads and such. And one of them, I think the very first one, it was for the idea is to use it for a postcard or a poster. And it's got a red pill and a blue pill in the bottom, and it's kind of separated by like a jagged rip, like the paper's been torn, and it's got some lettering. Now, the idea was referencing that famous scene from The Matrix where Neo is seated across from Morpheus, and Morpheus has a red pill in one hand and a blue pill in the other hand, and he's telling him this is what's going to happen if you take the red pill, and this is what's going to happen if you take the blue pill. Now, that's what I was trying to reference, that because the idea is that in the movie, at least, the idea is that taking the red pill, you're going to get all of your questions answered, and it's going to be, hard, but you're going to just really see how deep the rabbit hole goes. And if you take the blue pill, as he says, you're going to go to sleep, you can wake up and tell yourself whatever you want. And so for us as targeted individuals, many of us, the reason that we're being targeted is because, metaphorically speaking, we've taken the red pill. We out of many people in this world culture, we know how deep the rabbit hole goes because of the experiences that we've had on a personal level, and then just being able to communicate through different social media platforms what's happening to other people. We know how deep this goes, that this is a program that is basically, it's a form of control, it's a form of punishment, it's insidious, it's secretive, it's shadowy. A person can be a victim of gang-stalking and targeting, and the person sitting in the cubicle next to them, the person seated across from them on the bus, across from them in a cafe, might not even know that it's happening because it's so hidden. And also what furthers it along is the fact that we as people, we are, for the most part, we are in our own worlds. Okay, we are each individual worlds. And so many of us, we do not see past our own horizon. We do not see past the tip of our nose because we're caught up in, our own problems, our own life, what we're going to do, writing down, I got to make sure and do this when I go to the store. I got to pick up this. I got to stop by here. Oh, I got to make sure and go pay my phone bill. I got to go do this. I mean, we've got a life, so we're not really thinking about other people, that are around us unless for some reason they catch our attention or, there's something about them, or they purposefully come into their world, collides into ours. Then we make contact, we notice them, okay? But otherwise you don't notice it, and that is one of the ways or the means that this can happen, okay, with what we are experiencing and what we are trying to communicate to the rest of the world that we are experiencing. And so it explains why there are people who cannot understand what we're talking about, and they are very shocked and they are very stunned when we tell them this. And it also explains why there are many empowered individuals who are making it a point to try and do video recordings of what's happening. There's a woman, I subscribe to her channel, and she has there's two of them actually. We're two different people. One of them, she's in she's got a southern accent, so I'm assuming she's somewhere in the South. And the other fellow is he's here in California, but they both he puts his camera, I think, in the back of his car, facing the back, seeing, so it shows out the people who are coming up on him that might be doing the brightening, or that might be trying to mess with him while he's driving on the road. And I think she puts hers, I think, on the front, on the dashboard. And so she just did posted a video, like I think a few days ago, showing some of the tactics that they do when they driving up in the lane, trying to do different things to harass her and get her off course, get her upset and out of focus and everything. But one of the reasons that it's being done is because people don't pay attention unless something is happening to them. They don't think it's strange if a car happens to go by and has its brights on in the middle of the day and there's only one headlight. I mean, they don't pay attention to that. And if there might be 2 or 3 in a row, they may or may not notice that, or they don't notice when someone's walking by them. They're doing their own thing. They're maybe trying to make a call on their cell phone, trying to run an errand real quick before lunchtime is over, so they can get back to class or they can get back to work, and they're not paying attention to the 3 to 5 people out of 12 people that just walked by that happen to have on some type of a red article of clothing and that might happen to cough or whistle. They're not doing it to them, they're doing it to someone else. So they're not really focused on that. And that's one of the ways that some of this is able to happen right underneath their noses, and they don't even get it. Okay? And then of course you have the gaslighting, where they are unsuspecting victims in participating in someone else's demise, and they don't understand that that's what's happening. They're hearing someone say something about so-and-so who works down in data entry, and well, yeah, they did kind of notice they were kind of different, but wow, I didn't know it was that. Really? You think this person is crazy? Oh wow. Or they say, well, this person, we found out they're under investigation by law enforcement or Homeland Security, and and just say whatever they say and do whatever they do, and they don't get it. They don't think. They don't have the wherewithal to even think along those lines. And so that's why some of this goes on. And so looking at this again, the whole red pill, blue pill. Another way now I realize that you can look at this is, you have the children of disobedience and you have the children of obedience. You have the children, of darkness, and you have the children of light. We're talking spiritual darkness. We're talking spiritual light. Okay, that's what we're talking about. But in terms of this food for thought, this postcard, the red pill are those who would be the children of light that would take this and be able to know, we know, okay, technically, metaphorically speaking, we have taken the red pill. We know how deep the rabbit hole goes. We know what is happening, and some of us are getting an understanding as to why it's happening, meaning it's because maybe we dated the wrong person and they got their feelings hurt, or this was something that was an agenda that they had all along. Family members, this could be something intergenerational. This could be happening to us because, a great-great-great-grandparent made some pact or some covenant, doing whatever, trying to gain some type of financial gain or something, or to gain the husband of her dream or the wife of his dream or whatever, and somebody had to be sacrificed in like the second generation or the third generation. And we just happen to be the one, luck of the draw. Maybe it could be the result of getting hired at a new job, and the people were planning on, doing something to whoever filled that position, and we just happen to be the one who got hired. Who knows? The reasons abound, but we're dealing with this, and now we know how deep the rabbit hole goes. We know that there are people out there who are without remorse, who their standards, their ethical, moral standards are very low. They are willing and able and do very sick, illegal, immoral acts to their victims, and again, they have no remorse. And so this postcard, or this poster, that's basically what it is. But because I was referencing the movie The Matrix, it's got this red pill and a blue pill. But this episode, I said I was going to talk more about the children of disobedience. So even though there's a red pill and a blue pill, think of it as the red pill being the children of obedience and the blue pill being the children of disobedience. And I apologize in advance. I know that speaking for myself and being a victim of this, I've mentioned this many times, that the color coding that is being done against me, that they wear red, Okay, so I mean, I know that, but because again this was referencing the movie The Matrix, and because the red pill was the pill that Neo was going to take to find out how deep the rabbit hole goes, it's a red pill. Okay, this has no, I am not a perpetrator, I am not a stalker. It was just in keeping with the movie The Matrix. That's all. Okay, I'm going to say that, and I hope I don't have to say it again. I hope I don't get a bunch of people commenting saying that I'm a perpetrator because I used the red pill and a blue pill. Okay, I was just doing it again in keeping with the movie The Matrix. That's what that's about. Okay, but let me start with the blue pill. Okay, these would be the children of disobedience. You take the blue pill and the story ends. You believe whatever you are told, for you will not have a love for the truth. Therefore, you will be given strong delusion so that you believe the lies. You will never bother to dig beneath the surface of what you think is real, nor question what they tell you. You will stalk. You will target whoever they tell you to. You will wear masks of friendship and family loyalty, but it is just a mask, for if you are told to, you will turn on those who do what is good, what is right. You will speak all manner of evil against them falsely. You will break into their homes and misplace their belongings. You will subject them to hang-up phone calls and noise campaigns throughout the quiet hours of the night. You will incite their co-workers to turn on them so that they are fired without a cause. You will send demonic attacks against them in the night, that unclean spirits weigh heavily on their chests, stealing their breath and caressing their arms, legs, and necks. You will follow them wearing red or black, glaring at them, giving them the evil eye. You will hack their computers, bug their phones. You will use drugs and booze to stave off any doubts. You will try to fight the very demons employed to harass your enemies. You will not win. You will sleep but never rest. You will sense pleasure but never embrace joy. Concerns and doubts will grow, but you will only take more drugs, drink more booze, commit more fornication and adultery. You will never look people in the eye, nor trust a warm embrace, for you will know that what you do to others can easily be done to you. All that you do is a reflection of torment awaiting you tenfold. When all of the trappings and glitter of this world has ended, they will not save you nor defend you, or any who blindly followed after them, swallowing every blue pill that was offered. Okay, that's the children of disobedience. That's the term that the Apostle Shaul used to describe them. Excuse me. That's the term that the Apostle Shaul used to describe them. These are the children of disobedience. They are, we can find this, that's in Ephesians. And I try to use a lot of scriptures because one, that's what this is basically about. This is the word of the Most High is a weapon. It is a sword in the realm of the Spirit. That was something that, again, I listened to a radio program from a Hebrew minister who was saying that, and he just talked about it again in another one. And he basically, paraphrasing what he said, is that when you are quoting passages from the scriptures, in terms of warding off a demonic attack, that literally in the realm of the Spirit, it's you are holding a sword and you are waving it around, you are slashing it, you are gouging, you are stabbing, you are thrusting, you are blocking, you are deflecting. You are literally using a sword when you quote passages, especially those dealing with defense, with protection, with the love of the Most High, with the wrath and judgment of the Most High against the demons. That's what's going on in the spirit world. And so I use a lot of scriptures, and my hope is that it will inspire you to read the scriptures, to do the same thing, because I'm sharing with you what it is that is helping me to make it through this fiery trial. Okay, Ephesians chapter 2. Starting at verse 2, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we all had our conversation in times past in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. Okay, so that's a perfect description. I think that there's a couple of points that he makes that I think that I really try to keep in mind, and hopefully you will too. And that is, he says from the very beginning, where in time past ye walked according to the course of this world. We've all been there. Okay, we have all been a child of disobedience. Okay, I don't think there's probably, with the exception of infants and toddlers, okay, I think many of us, all of us, okay, I'm going to be bold and make that statement, make an absolutism. All of us have walked that, be it just for a couple of minutes in the middle of an argument with a coworker, okay, or when we were yelling in a screaming match with our brother or sister, okay. I mean, it just happens, okay. When we stole the cookies from the cookie jar, okay, we've all walked in that course. We've all been there, and so that what that means is that we can have understanding and sympathy and or empathy for these people who are targeting us, or in terms of the theme of this postcard that I just read from, and the Matrix, who have taken the blue pill. Okay, those are the ones who basically they go to sleep, and they believe whatever they're told. They believe whatever they tell themselves to make it be okay what it is that they're doing, okay? And yet we, as children of light, as children of obedience, we look at what they're doing to us and to others, and sometimes we're stunned. Sometimes I'm just shocked. I can't believe that, that they're doing this. How can they do this? What is it that they're being told that would make them even do this? Okay? But we get an answer for that as to one of the ways that they're able to do it. You go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Let's look at starting at verse 3. But if our gospel is hid, if our good news is hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of the Messiah, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them. Okay, so this is one of the ways that they're able to do this. Okay, and this goes beyond stealing cookies from the cookie jar, or getting into a screaming match with your brother or sister, or even into an argument with a coworker. We're talking about people who are able to do vicious things, like what I shared in, I think, one of my last episodes. Having someone, pass me a joint that was laced, waiting for me to take a deep enough inhale to get enough of it in my system that would, lower, my whatever spiritual or emotional barriers I had in place, and, spiritually assault me. Maybe it was something that was going to make me go crazy and run out in front of into oncoming traffic. I mean, I don't know, but that someone would do that, probably aware of what the ramifications would do, that someone would do that. How do you do that? Well, it says right here, because they're blinded, okay? And they've been blinded to what? To the gospel, to the good news of the Messiah. And what is the good news? The good news of the Messiah is that we have redemption, that we have salvation from our sins. And we know that one of the ways that we get that is by keeping the commandments. We know the commandments are divided up into two categories. Those that deal with our relationship with the Most High, and those that deal with our relationship with our neighbor, with our fellow man, okay? How we treat our fellow man is going to determine, to a great extent, the level of our salvation, okay? There it is right there. And so, in this world that is spiritually dark, okay, that is, if anyone who has ever been camping or hiking at night and was stayed too late, and the sun starts to set, to go down, twilight comes, and you're trying to make it back through this area that you knew that you could see very clearly a few hours ago. Now it's dark, now there's shadows, maybe the moon is not out that night, and you're away from the city lights, the city limits, so it's darker. If you can keep that in your mind, and just imagine that's just a metaphor, symbolically speaking, of what this world is like on a spiritual level, with all of this darkness, where you have this going on, this gang-stalking and targeting. It is happening all over the world. It's happening in India. It's happening in Argentina. It's happening in Japan. Okay, it's happening in the United States. It's happening in Great Britain. Okay, it's happening all over the world. Victims are from both genders. Perpetrators are from both genders. Victims, perpetrators are from all walks of life, all racial categories. It doesn't matter the political and religious affiliation. It doesn't matter if you're blue collar, pink collar, white collar, no collar. Okay, this is one. As I've said before, this gang stalking in terms of the targeteers, in terms of the targeted, it's an equal opportunity employer. I'm trying to be funny, keep it lighthearted, but I'm sure you get what it is that I'm saying. But you have that going on, and you have all of these different theories and accusations flying around about the Masonic this, the Illuminati that, and you've got some of the political scandals that are going on. You've got the rise in Satanism, and there is definitely a satanic component to what it is that we're dealing with this. I can attest to that, and I know many other victims of gang stalking who can attest to it also. And so again, you can see where this landscape, this world, that it is spiritually dark. And so doing a good deed, having a honest, sincere, pure relationship, encounters with your neighbor, those actions, those words literally shine out into the darkness. And that good news, all of that is a light. It's brilliant. Think of this in a world where there was so much wickedness going on. How rare is it to find someone who truly prays regularly on a daily basis? Now, for those of you who are listening to this, you might say, well, gosh, I know there's a lot of people who do. But the number, trust me, the number of people who are praying, cultivating a relationship with the Almighty Creator through prayer, through fasting, through doing good deeds, through writing praises, it's a small number in comparison to the rest of the world. It really is. It might seem like a lot when you're maybe in your assembly, in your congregation, with those that are, maybe in your local community who are doing it also, but know that you are rare. And even amongst them, how many of them are truly, really, honestly, sincerely doing it? The number is very small. And so we shine out as candlelight in the darkness. That's and the source of that light is the Most High, and the source is also His Son, who is our Savior. And we can look at another scripture, two scriptures. We can go into the book of Isaiah. See, sometimes the scriptures just come to me as I'm talking, as I'm just sharing, and I have to find them because I just remember a phrase from it, so I have to find it. But this one is Isaiah 9, chapter 2. The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined. And we know that the light that's being talked about, and we just, again, just precepts as a way to study the Bible, which shows us, and confirms for us that it is a living word. We can cross-reference that with in the New Testament, because that's the way that you do precepts, the way to study the scriptures through precepts, line up on line, here a little and there a little, precept upon precept. But John chapter 1, what do we have right here? He was not that light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. In that light we know that it's the Messiah. That He is the light. He is the reason there is light in this world. And if you can grasp it, if you can comprehend it, if you go into the book of Genesis and you look at the creation, you'll notice that there is light present. That Elohim. I'm just going off. Again, this is something that just came to me. If you look, you will notice that in terms of the creation, literally, that light came first, and then you have the separation of the water. And then you have, looking at verse 11, and Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it was so. Okay, and then what is the very next thing? The very fourth day, and Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. So what does that let us know? That plants, we've been taught that plants need sunlight in order to grow. But we see here that the Most High, He created plant life before He put the lights in the heavens, before He put the sun in the heavens. So what does that say about this, what we've been taught, that we need, that plants need sunlight? Okay, and I don't want to get too deep in that, because then you get into the whole concept. Well, this was talking about what's happening spiritually, and that was a spiritual creation first, and it was a physical creation next. And okay, cool, I get all that. But my point is that the light of the Messiah was the first light that was created. Okay, he was created. He's the light. We need Him in order to even live. And another example of that, I think I shared all this before, but when medics, when doctors, when they're trying to revive someone, what is a surefire way of doing it? They shine what? A light in their eyes. Okay, it's because the light, the pupils respond to what? They respond to light. Okay, granted, the light that they're using, it's an artificial light, but light, we need that, and that is the Messiah, and that is what the quote-unquote God of this world, what He blinds the children of disobedience to. He blinds them to that so that they cannot see it, or He blinds them from that so that they can't see the light of the Messiah. They, again, in terms of what Paul was saying, they are running on the desires of the flesh and of the mind. They're using, their intellect. They're using their feelings. They're using those the sensations, the bodily sensations, to justify and to guide them, and to help them to make their choices. And we've all been there. Trust me, I'm coming from a place of experience when I say this. And if you really sit down and think about it, you'll know that that's true for you also. But we, by the grace of the Most High, by His mercy, which He has extended unto us, He's granted us forgiveness for our sins. Repenting sincerely, He let me back in. He extended His grace and His mercy to me again, and that is something that I never want to lose, to walk away from, and I'm committed to that. And so, because we are of the light, we look at the top part of this. You take the red pill. You will see how deep the rabbit hole goes. You will see beyond illusion. You will cherish and value the truth. You will speak out. You will rebel. You will protect the weak. Do what is good. Do what is right. Therefore, you will be stalked. You will be targeted. Your enemies will wear masks of friendship and family. They will betray you. They will speak all manner of evil against you falsely. They will break into your home and misplace your belongings. They will subject you to hang-up phone calls and noise campaigns throughout the quiet hours of the night. Your co-workers will turn on you. They will harass you and set you up to be fired without a cause. You will suffer evil demonic attacks at night, feeling a strong presence on your chest, stealing your breath from your lungs. You will hear voices when you are alone. You will feel the caress of fingers on your arms and legs, the back of your neck. You will be followed on the streets where you live. People wearing red or wearing black will stalk you, glaring at you, giving you the evil eye. They will hack your computer, bug your phone. They will listen to your thoughts and mockingly repeat them in front of you. Supposed strangers will act out your private fears, thoughts, and desires on city streets. You will turn to the Most High and find strength. His Messiah and His words will provide spiritual bread, mental wine, and physical protection. His Holy Spirit, even the Spirit of truth, will open your eyes and ears. With honest repentance, you will be forgiven, and His grace will shield you from the wicked, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Remember, His name is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. Okay, that's us, the children of light. And again, I apologize. I know in terms of being a victim of color coding that the red, which is meant to intimidate, which is meant to threaten, which is meant to frustrate, unfortunately, that's what, the Wachowski brothers decided to use, and me wanting to follow that theme to get that point across, used it also, but it was not with negative intention. It was not to create any problems for anyone. It was just in keeping with the theme of that, that motif from The Matrix. But I think that it does get the point across, that you understand that we know how deep the rabbit hole goes, and we can see these children of disobedience and we have an understanding of what it is that they're dealing with for two reasons. One, because we've been there. Okay, I've been there. I know what it's like, to let, my flesh run me, to let it make my choices. And many of you do as well, okay? So that's one of the reasons we can understand them. And two, because we have the light, okay? The Holy Spirit is with us. And one of the things we know, the Holy Spirit is also the Spirit of truth. So we can see what they cannot see. We are not blinded. They are. They don't understand what it is that they're doing. Now, I've got this set of, it's an encyclopedia. It's a set of encyclopedias, and it looks at the New Testament, all of the words in the New Testament, and it gives, it's really good. It's very thorough. It's very exhaustive. It gives, all of the, the Greek words and how they're related to those early Hebrew words, and the crossover and the definitions and such. It's really good, and I wanted to use that in terms of describing and talking more about the quote unquote God of this world. And let's see, when we talk about the God of this world, what you're talking about the another word would be age. Instead of the word world, let's use age, because when you say the God of this world, it's easy to misconstrue that and think that somehow he's the creator of this world. He's not. We know that it's speaking of this earth age. It's speaking of this age. He is the God of this age, of this dispensation, of this time period. One of the things I wanted to do, maybe I'll look at that, maybe I won't. It's kind of long, but basically what I said, this goes back to a war, that has been going on for just centuries, for millennia, going back since before recorded history, perhaps even to the Great War in Heaven, when the enemy, the accuser of the Idrin, the tempter, the father of lies, the dragon, when he was kicked headfirst out of heaven with a third of the host. Maybe it started back then, but it's a war that goes back way far. Okay, we've been battling it in the realm of the spirit, and now this is just the latest manifestation in the physical realm.
It's a cold war. It's a cold war. Give your thanks and praise to a living God of all the ages. Conquering lion, conquering lion. Hey, Rasta man of a chant. I'm protected by the Lord, and every day I say the Psalms. So many guns and bombs. Everybody nowadays I see they buying arms. Babylon going down. Their evil loves works can't hold no ground. Words, poets, and sound. Most I judge I wear the crown. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for the woman, I set them on the star. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for the woman, I set them on the star. Teach the children what they should know. Teach them the rights as they grow. World leaders messed up the world, telling lies whenever time they come to address the world. Ooh, what you gonna say? Or what can you do? Yeah, bombs and missiles flying every day. Gotta pray. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for the woman, I set them on the star. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for the woman, and I set them on the star. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for the woman, and I set them on the star. It's a cold war, a very old war. Fighting for them. I tell you now, protect yourself. Don't let them in. Protect yourself by any means. Protect yourself, don't let them in. Protect yourself by any means. The workers are never pay us. They need the newer orders of the designer chaos. Long time Pharaoh wanna stray us. Don't forget Judas who had betrayed us. They need a lot of manpower, so the shackle of the slaves. Killing the people for the land, way back in the days. Wicked murderers.
Yes, this is definitely, it's a Cold War and it's an old war, okay? And when we look at the tactics, the weaponry of the children of disobedience, you know, it's important to do that, you know, and I've said this before, and I think many of us understand that, and that is that we need to not be ignorant of the devices of the enemy, and that's again something that that Paul points out. And I want to just I want to look at that real quick. That is again using the scriptures, okay. Is one of the things that we know about the descendants of the house of Jacob, and also those Gentiles who are grafted into that tree. We are the people of the book. So you cannot, you know, talk about being, you know, a child of righteousness or a child of light and not use the word. It's just impossible. Okay, so something that he says that is really important. We look at, we go into 2 Corinthians chapter 2. It's very important. And I was just thinking on this. Tell me what you think of this. Leave a comment and let me know what you think of this. Okay. Chapter 2, starting at verse 10. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgive also. For if I forgave anything to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of the Messiah, lest Satan should get an advantage of us. For we are not ignorant of his devices. And check that out. Look at what he just said. Verse 10. I've always focused on verse 11, you know, for we are not ignorant of his devices, and that's important. I'm not trying to downplay that. But check this out. One of the things that he is making a connection with is how important forgiveness is. One of the reasons we forgive is so that, what does it say at the very beginning of verse 11? Lest Satan should get an advantage of us. Because when you don't forgive, when I don't forgive, okay, and it's something that is really, really hard. Okay, I am a survivor of domestic violence. I am a survivor of child abuse, childhood endangerment, incest, a lot. Spent a lot of money and still owe money, okay, in terms of therapy, doing early childhood recovery. And the hardest thing that I had to work with was forgiving those people, because when we harbor resentments, when we take those offenses and let them sit there and they percolate and they simmer and they brew and we stew over them, and it's like anybody who's ever it's an author, I don't think he's around anymore. I don't know if he's still around or not, but it was a fellow, his name was Bradshaw, and he did definitely a few books. Definitely one of them was called Bradshaw on the Family, and he did another one, and I can remember he talked about some of these experiences, those early childhood experiences. He compared all of that, okay, to hounds that are trapped in a basement, that are locked in a basement, and they become ferocious. They just become just rabid. They become crazy, and they break out, okay? And, you know, we have the idea that somehow, you know, I'm just going to bury it. I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. I'm just not going to think about it anymore. And that is not what happens, okay? Now, to a literal animal, I mean, yeah, eventually they're going to die, okay? But that's just, again, that's just a metaphor. Those feelings, they fester, they grow, okay? We are not stagnant beings. We are beings, okay? We are either progressing or we are regressing, okay? But there is movement. One area, in one direction, the movement might seem a bit faster and be a bit more apparent than in the other direction, but trust me, there is movement. But check out what he says. To whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of the Messiah, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. So what's one of his devices? One of his devices is resentment. One of his devices is harboring offenses. That's one of his devices. And the children of disobedience, if you could think about it, if you could literally grab one of your perpetrators, just catch them in the act, doing something, and I know I've seen some videos where one guy was, two of them, I'm going to share two of them, two videos that I watched on YouTube. One of them, the woman had her cell phone and she was, walking down the street. She had the camera on and she was like, and here he is. And he always, he's the letter carrier, he's the mailman. But, no, every time, and he's doing this and she's got the cell phone and she's aiming at him. She's saying, why don't you just say what you've done? Just admit it. Just admit what it is that you're doing. You know why you Parker. And he's all, lady, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Just get away from me. I don't know what you're talking about. And, now to us viewing this, because we are victims of this also, we get it. That she's probably, her radar is so sensitive that she is picking up on something that he's been doing, whether he's been coughing or whistling or doing something. She picked up on it. Okay, but what is his perfect defense to anybody again walking by who's caught up in their own little world, who doesn't see past their own horizon, who doesn't see beyond the frame of their glasses, who doesn't see beyond the tip of their nose? She looks like she's crazy, and he's the lady, I don't know what you're talking about. Get away from me. What? I don't know what you're talking about, lady. Gosh, you're crazy. I don't have any time. I don't have time for this. I come up here every day. I've been carrying mail here for the past 5 months. What are you talking about? But we get it. We know chances are he probably is doing something and he can hide behind that. Okay, so that was one of them. One incident where she was confronted her. And then another one was, I can't remember what it was. It was this guy. He was in his car and he was trying to, again with a cell phone, he was trying to record people who were bribing him, where they are in the middle of the day, headlights on, some of them with one headlight, some of them with both headlights, driving by him. And he had the cell phone on and he showed the car approaching, and and he showed it, and the lady of course saw him, that was driving the car, and she kind of did something, made some look and waved and did some gesture and kept on going. Okay, but one of the reasons people are doing these things is because they want other people to know. Okay, and imagine if you could literally catch one of your targeteers. Okay, catch one of the, in the act. I mean, we know that many of them are they're just noodle-kneed, jelly-backed cowards. Okay, they're doing this stuff, and then they pretend like they don't even know what you're talking about. But if you were to catch one of them, okay, with and they can't deny it, and they can't pretend that they don't know what you're talking about, and you were to just say to them, why are you doing this? Okay, you and I both know that this is like the third or fourth time, in the past week that you've come up to me in Starbucks and sat at the table right over there, right across the aisle from me, and you whistled, and you've coughed, and why are you doing this? If you could literally have a conversation with one of them, chances are, if they really, really were honest, they would start to talk about how somebody did something to them, and what does it feel like, and now and yada yada yada. And basically my point is that it probably goes back to an offense, and this is their way of lashing out, maybe not at you because you're the person that did it to them, but it's an opportunity for them to just lash out, to let the other have, see what it feels like. And you probably don't even know what in the world they're talking about, but it makes sense to them. But the point is that this all goes back to offenses, and that's one of the devices, and that's basically here what the Apostle Shaul is saying. To whom ye forgive anything, I forgave also. For if I forgave anything to whom I forgave it, for your sakes forgave I it in the person of the Messiah, lest Satan should get an advantage of us. For we are not ignorant of his devices. One of his devices is resentment. That's one of the ways that he gets people, to do things is because they harbor, resentments. They hang on to them, they feed on them, and they use it to justify doing some of the things that they do. And some of the things that they do are wicked. They are vile. They are heinous. And we know, what did the Messiah tell us? Luke 23:34. What did he say? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They don't understand that there is eternal ramifications for what they're doing. These are children of disobedience. They're letting the flesh, they're letting the mind, they're letting the lust of the body rule them. Okay, that logically it makes sense to them. Okay, because they're blinded. They don't see the glory of the Messiah. They do not see that light. So therefore, what they're doing, it makes sense to them. And again, I just quoted that in Luke. Let's take a look at another one. I've said this one before. Luke 21:15. In your patience possess ye your souls. Okay, because we could easily, those two examples that I gave, those were two individuals. That woman was, I wish I had saved the link to that video, because I would put that link underneath so you could just see that woman and what she was doing. This guy, maybe he was innocent, maybe he was not, but I'm going to suspect that by the time she got to the point where she's stalking down the street with the cell phone, he's probably been doing something to her for a couple of weeks, and she just snapped. Probably sleep deprived, probably anxious, being gaslighted, family not understanding her, giving her the cold shoulder, people messing with her at work. She just snapped, and she just put the phone up there. Admit it. But what does that get? It does not solve the problem. In your patience possess ye your soul. We don't want to cross over and end up being on the other side of the line and being lumped in with Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, and the stormtroopers. We don't want to be on that side. We want to be on the other side, right? Right? We want to be with Han Solo. We want to be with Lando Calrissian. Okay, that's what I'm aiming for. Okay, I'm aiming to be hooked up with him. Okay, but in your patience possess ye your soul. But I just listed some examples. So what I wanted to do is just to show where this some of the actions of children of disobedience in the scriptures, because this entire series I've been looking at David. I've been looking at the Messiah. But I wanted to just give a description of who these children of disobedience are, because again, this didn't just start, with the rise of advanced technology, or even though it might feel like it probably makes it easier for them to do what it is that they're doing. But hey, they've been able to do they've been doing this nonsense long before advanced technology. Check out Psalm 35, starting at Psalm 35, starting at verse 11. False witnesses did rise up. They laid to my charge things that I knew not, gaslighting. They rewarded me evil for good, to the spoiling of my soul. But as for me, when they were sick, my clothing was sackcloth. I humbled my soul with fasting, and my prayer returned into mine own bosom. I behaved myself as though he had been my friend or brother. I bowed down heavily, as one that mourneth for his mother. But in mine adversity they rejoiced, and gathered themselves together. Yea, the abjects gathered themselves together against me, and I knew it not. They did tear me, and ceased not. With hypocritical mockers and feast, they gnashed upon me with their teeth. Okay, that's the gaslighting. That's something that we know that they do. Let's look at another one. Let's go to Psalm 53. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no Elohim. Corrupt are they, and have done abominable iniquity. There is none that doeth good. Elohim looked down from heaven upon the children of men, to see if there were any that did understand, that did seek Elohim. Every one of them is gone back. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread? They have not called upon Elohim. And then just also wanted to look at someone who I'm going to cover him now briefly, just really briefly, but and that's Jeremiah. Some of the experiences that he had. Looking at verse looking at verse 8 through 9, he was called by the Most High and told, to point out the sins of the people, and he did it. This is looking in chapter 26, verse 8 and 9. Now it came to pass when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking all that Yahuwah had commanded him to speak unto all the people, that the priest and the prophets and all the people took him, saying, Thou shalt surely die. Why hast thou prophesied in the name of Yahuwah, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate, without an inhabitant? And all the people were gathered against Jeremiah in the house of Yahuwah. And then going over to verse 20 through 23, and there was also a man that prophesied in the name of Yahuwah, Uriah, the son of Shemaiah of Kiriath Jearim, who prophesied against this city and against this land according to all the words of Jeremiah. And when Jehoiakim the king with all his mighty men and all the princes heard his words, the king sought to put him to death. But when Uriah heard it, he was afraid and fled and went into Egypt. And Jehoiakim the king sent men into Egypt, namely Elnathan, the son of Achbor, and certain men with him into Egypt. And they fetched forth Uriah out of Egypt and brought him unto Jehoiakim the king, who slew him with the sword and cast his dead body into the graves of the common people. And then we go over to verse 38. We're still in Jeremiah, looking at what it is that he went through. Jeremiah 38, starting at verse 4. Therefore the princes said unto the king, We beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of the people, but the hurt. Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then they took Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Himelech, that was in the court of the prison, and they let down Jeremiah with cords, and in the dungeon there was no water but mire, so Jeremiah sunk into the mire. Okay, that's just looking at again, someone who we know that he lamented and that he mourned. He knew what was going to befall them, and he did what he was told to do, but they didn't want to hear it. They turned on him. Okay, and again, that's where the targeting and the gang-stalking, where, as I've said, and many people have said, that it is a form of control, and it's a way to punish someone. But let's go into the New Testament. I wanted to point something out about another brother. This is starting in Acts and looking at Acts chapter 21, and we're going to start at verse 27. And when the 7 days were almost ended, the Yehudim which were in Asia, when they saw him in the temple, stirred up all the people and laid hands on him, crying out, Men of Israel, help! This is the man that teacheth all men everywhere against the people and the law and this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple, and hath polluted this holy place. For they had seen before with him in the city of Trophimus an Ephesian, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. And all the city was moved, and the people ran together, and they took Paul, and drew him out of the temple, and forthwith the doors were shut. As they went about to kill him, tidings came unto the chief captain of the band, that all Jerusalem was in an uproar, who immediately took soldiers and centurions, and ran down unto them. And when they saw the chief captain and the soldiers, they left beating of Paul. Then the chief captain came near and took him and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and demanded who he was and what he had done. And just for the sake of time, I'm going to let that go. But there's more. I mean, I'll try to. I don't want to go over my time. But there's more where he literally was in. If we going back, looking into starting at verse 13, you've got a situation where he's in a city trying to share the good news. Starting at verse 50, chapter 13. But the Yehudim stirred up the devout and honorable women and the chief men of the city, and raised persecution against Paul and Barnabas, and expelled them out of their coast. But they shook off the dust of their feet against them, and came unto Iconium, and the disciples were filled with joy and with the Holy Ghost. Going on into chapter 14, verse 1. And it came to pass in Iconium that they went both together into the synagogue of the Yehudim, and so spake, that a great multitude both of the Yehudim and also of the the Greeks believed, but the unbelieving Yehudim stirred up the Gentiles and made their minds evil affected against the brethren. Long time therefore abode they, speaking boldly in the Master, which gave testimony unto the word of his grace, and granted signs and wonders to be done by their hands. But the multitude of the city was divided, and part held with the Yehudim, and part with the apostles. And when there was an assault made, both of the Gentiles and also of the Yehudim with their rulers, to use them despitefully and to stone them. Okay, that's what the children of disobedience can do. Okay, when they are holding on to offenses, when they are caught up in the flesh, when they are letting their mind, when they are letting just pure logic, not the fruits of the Spirit guide them, not seeing the light of the Most High, not seeing it shining through His Son, when they don't see that, okay, they can do this. They will kill. And that is something that I had to accept early on in terms of my targeting. That if given the opportunity, these people truly, they will kill me. You know, either through some form of a spiritual attack, through some type of a physical assault, I don't know. But that is something that I've had to struggle with, to make peace with. And I know that everybody dies. I know even the seasons die. We just simply use another word. We say what? We say that the seasons change. And so I know that. And again, these are the children of disobedience. And there's more that I could share, just many more scriptures, but I'm going to let that be it for now. I hope that this has been a help, an inspiration as to how to look at these individuals who you know are targeting you, to understand that they are blinded, that the God of this earth age is blinding them so that they can't see what it is that you see. And just like with Paul, or rather with Saul, King Saul feared David. Why? Because the Most High was with David. Some of these people are attacking you. They're stalking you and gaslighting you because you have the Most High with you. You are seeing a light that they cannot see. And hopefully that will inspire you and strengthen you to keep following that light, because you don't want to be like them. As hard as it may seem, we don't want to. It looks really good now. Okay, the grass is always greener on the other side, as the saying goes. They've got, more people on their side because many of us are isolated. They've got access to, all kinds. They've got privilege, many of them, where they can, they're able to hack into somebody's account. They're able to mess with somebody's channel. They're able to mess with someone's smartphone. They have the connections. Okay, they have all that working for them. And, it gets frustrating and it gets bitter when we're doing good to get a bus pass. Okay? But, it's better to be on our side than on their side, because there is the eternal ramification, and that's the part that they don't see. But we do, and we thank the Most High for that. And again, I hope that this has helped you out. Please give a thumbs up. Please leave a comment, either here on the YouTube channel or over on the website. I'd really appreciate it to just let me know that you're out there, and that will also give me an indication as to maybe what's going on with my channel. But at any rate, again, let me know what you think of this music that this format that I'm trying to work with. If it should be longer, if it should be shorter, I'd really appreciate that. And okay, on that note, I say shalom to you all.
Why do the world cry? Be my guide, Most High. Upon you I rely. Give me strength, oh my. Make me to live, I shall not die. Life is the greatest thing. Oh, what joy love bring. War and hate is only sin. It makes your soul so dim. Why does the world cry? When will the war end? Praise the Most High, holy love for the little children. Why does the world cry? When will the war end? Praise the Most High, holy love for the little children. You can't knock my style. Take it easy with a smile. No crime, no violence. Don't corrupt our child. Everyone is Most High King Selassie I Jah Rastafari. Yeah, yeah. Savannah Records.